There are seasons in life when the weight feels almost unbearable. The disappointments pile up. The setbacks come one after another. Approach. And you wonder how much longer you can carry it. You may feel unseen, unappreciated, or even forgotten. Approach. But I want you to know today that you are never walking through that heaviness alone. God sees every tear. He hears every unspoken prayer. Approach. And He understands the burden you carry better than anyone else ever could. When life feels heavy, approach. That is not a signal of defeat. It's an invitation to lean into the one who has the strength you lack. You were never designed to carry everything by yourself. Approach. Trying to solve every problem and shoulder every responsibility will only wear you down. But when you release it into God's hands, something shifts. Approach. The weight you couldn't bear alone becomes light when you let Him lift it. You don't have to have every answer. You don't need to see the whole picture. Approach. What you need is trust, the assurance that God is holding you steady even when your world feels unsteady. Approach. It's easy to let the heaviness make you feel like you're falling behind, like life is passing you by. But the truth is, those heavy seasons are shaping you. Approach. They are building your faith muscles, teaching you how to endure, and preparing you for the blessings that are still ahead. Approach. Think of the seed planted deep in the ground. For a season, it is hidden, pressed down by the weight of soil, surrounded by darkness. Yet inside, it's growing. Approach. Pushing roots deeper, getting ready to break through. That heaviness is not your end. It's a setup for your growth. You may not feel strong right now. Approach. But strength is not about feelings. It's about choices. Every time you choose to trust instead of fear, you are building strength. Approach. Every time you choose to forgive instead of holding on to bitterness, you are becoming stronger. Every time you keep moving forward when it would be easier to give up. Approach. You are proving that your spirit is unbreakable. Strength in God is not the absence of hardship. It is the ability to rise even in the middle of it. Approach. When life feels heavy, don't isolate yourself. Don't believe the lie that you are alone. Open your heart to the truth that God is near to the brokenhearted. Approach. He is your refuge, your safe place, your source of renewal. The heaviness may not vanish overnight, but you will feel a supernatural peace that lifts you. Approach. A quiet confidence that sustains you and a joy that defies explanation. And when you look back on this season, you will realize it didn't break you. It built you. Approach. So don't let the weight crush your spirit. Lift your eyes higher. The same God who carried you before will carry you again. Approach. The same God who parted seas and moved mountains is the God who strengthens you today. You may feel heavy, but you are not defeated. You may feel weary. Approach. But you are not done. You are being lifted, renewed, and empowered. And when the heaviness passes, you will step forward stronger, wiser. Approach. And more prepared for the incredible things that lie ahead. Life has a way of placing stones in our arms until they feel like boulders. Approach. One day it is the weight of finances, another day the strain of relationships, and sometimes it is the silent ache of disappointment. Approach. We begin to believe that we must hold it all together, that if we let go, everything will collapse. Approach. But the truth is you were never designed to be the sole carrier of every burden. There is a power greater than you that invites you to loosen your grip. Approach. To stop wrestling with what you cannot fix, and to place the heaviest parts of your heart into hands far stronger than yours. Releasing that weight is not weakness. Approach. It is an act of trust that lifts you above the storm. Think of a traveler trying to climb a steep hill while dragging a suitcase full of rocks. Approach. Each step becomes slower, each breath heavier, and eventually the climb feels impossible. Yet the moment the rocks are removed, approach. The same hill that seemed insurmountable becomes passable. In life, those rocks are the fear, guilt, anger, and anxious thoughts we insist on carrying. Approach. Letting go does not mean ignoring responsibility. It means acknowledging that some things lie beyond your control. Approach. It means recognizing that worry never changed an outcome, fear never opened a door, and guilt never healed a wound. Approach. There is freedom in admitting you are not meant to solve every problem alone. When you release the burden, you allow room for peace to settle in. Approach. It is like unclenching a fist that has been tight for so long it forgot how to open. The moment you loosen your hold, you feel life return to your soul. Approach. Surrendering does not erase the challenge overnight, but it lightens the soul enough to face the challenge with a steadier heart. It creates space for clarity. Approach. Creativity and unexpected solutions. Imagine standing beside a wide river, fighting the current with every ounce of strength, being swept further downstream. Approach. The instant you stop fighting and allow yourself to float, the current carries you safely. Trust works the same way. Resistance and control exhaust you. Approach. While surrender positions you to be guided toward higher ground. Life begins to shift when you allow that unseen strength to steady you. Approach. What seemed too heavy starts to feel lighter, not because the circumstances instantly change, but because you no longer bear them alone. Approach. Releasing your struggle also shifts your perspective. Instead of staring only at what hurts, approach. You start to see the blessings still around you, a sunrise breaking through dark clouds, a friend's voice on a difficult day, the resilience already inside you. Approach. Gratitude has room to grow once the burden is off your shoulders. It becomes easier to see that every challenge is temporary. Approach. Every night eventually gives way to morning, and no storm has the power to cancel your destiny. The choice to let go is often the hardest step. Approach, yet it is also the one that unlocks relief. You cannot control how people treat you, the economy, or every twist of life's path. Approach. You can control whether you carry fear or release it, whether you cling to disappointment or trust that something better is ahead. The moment you surrender the weight, approach, you invite peace back into your life, you stand taller, breathe deeper, and discover that you are stronger than you imagined, not because you never faced pain, approach, but because you chose to stop carrying what was never meant for you alone. Approach. There comes a point when the heaviness of life presses so hard that standing still feels impossible. In those moments, approach. Strength is not found by pretending everything is fine, but by leaning into the presence of the one who never leaves. When storms rage and answers seem distant, approach. You are not abandoned. There is an unseen hand holding you steady, even when the winds howl around you. Courage is not the absence of pain or fear. Approach. It is the decision to trust that you are being upheld when your own strength falters. This trust grows when you pause, breathe, approach, and remember that no valley lasts forever. Every shadow is temporary, and even the longest night eventually breaks into dawn. Life often teaches us to depend solely on our abilities to fix every problem and shoulder every responsibility. Approach. But the truth is that human strength alone was never meant to sustain the weight of endless uncertainty. Approach. Deep resilience is born when you recognize that there is help beyond yourself. It is like a tree rooted near a river. Though winds bend its branches, approach. Its roots hold firm because nourishment flows from a deeper source. When your roots are anchored in faith, setbacks cannot uproot you. They may slow you, bruise you, approach, but they cannot define your end. In seasons of heaviness, people are tempted to withdraw, isolate, and rehearse their fears over and over. Approach, yet leaning on divine strength invites connection instead of loneliness. It whispers that you are not fighting unseen battles by yourself. Every tear is noticed, every sigh heard. Approach. Strength emerges when you stop measuring your ability against the mountain before you, and instead in the assurance that no mountain is greater than the purpose over your life. Approach. This is not about ignoring reality. It is about refusing to let reality erase hope. Imagine a weary traveler who collapses under the weight of his pack. Approach. Just when he is about to give up, a friend arrives, lifts the pack, and walks beside him. Suddenly, the same road seems bearable because the burden is shared. Approach. That is how divine support works in life. You may still walk through the storm, but you are no longer alone in it. Approach. Your steps are steadier because your heart is no longer crushed by the illusion that everything depends on you. This trust also opens your eyes to small approach. Sustaining mercies that were easy to miss before, a kind word from a friend, a memory that brings a smile, the quiet beauty of an ordinary sunrise. Approach. These are not coincidences, they are reminders that even in the hardest hours you are seen and cared for. Strength grows when you shift from asking, "Why me?" to declaring, "Even here, I am not forsaken." That shift renews energy, brings clarity, approach, and keeps you moving forward when logic says you should have already quit. Over time, leaning on this strength transforms the way you see trials. Approach. Instead of seeing only loss, you begin to see opportunities for growth. Instead of being consumed by fear, you are fueled by resilience. Approach. You walk through life knowing that storms will come, but also believing that storms do not last forever. With that belief, every setback becomes survivable. Approach. Every disappointment temporary, and every step a testimony that you are upheld by something far greater than the weight trying to break you. Approach. When life grows heavy and the path ahead seems endless, perspective becomes a lifeline. It is easy to be consumed by the immediate pain. Approach. Convinced that the present struggle is all there will ever be. Approach. Yet strength begins to surface when you lift your gaze beyond the moment and remind your heart that this season is not permanent. Approach. Challenges often feel eternal because they are loud, immediate, and overwhelming. But history tells a different story. Storms always pass. Approach. Valleys always lead to higher ground, and wounds eventually heal. This isn't about pretending the hardship doesn't exist. Approach. It's about refusing to let the hardship define the whole story. Perspective allows you to see that what feels like the end may, in fact, approach. Be the beginning of something new. Setbacks often carry hidden seeds of growth. The pain of today could be preparing you for resilience tomorrow. Approach. When you choose to look for meaning instead of surrendering to despair, you discover that the weight you carry is shaping a strength you didn't know you had. Just as pressure transforms coal into diamonds, life's pressures refine character, deepen faith, and teach patience. It's a slow, unseen process, approach, but one that quietly rewrites weakness into fortitude. Keeping a broader view does not happen by accident. It requires intention. Instead of replaying fears on a loop, approach, you redirect your thoughts toward hope. You remind yourself of past victories, moments when you thought you couldn't make it, yet somehow did. Approach. Each memory becomes proof that you have overcome before and can do so again. This practice does not erase pain, approach, but it steadies your spirit and clears the fog of discouragement, approach. Perspective changes the conversation from "this will crush me" to "this will grow me." It's also important to understand that waiting is not wasted time. Growth often happens beneath the surface, invisible to the human eye. Seeds remain buried for months before sprouting, approach. Yet during that hidden time, they are developing roots strong enough to support future growth. In the same way, approach, the delays and difficulties you face might be laying the foundation for a harvest that is yet unseen. Approach, trusting that process brings calm to the chaos and patience to the restless heart. Perspective draws strength from gratitude. When heaviness dominates, gratitude can feel unnatural, but it shifts focus from what is missing to what remains. Even small blessings, a supportive friend, a quiet morning, approach. The fact that you are still standing become anchors. Gratitude doesn't minimize pain, it balances it, offering glimpses of light in an otherwise dark landscape. Approach. Each acknowledgement of good becomes a reminder that life is bigger than this moment of struggle. Seeing beyond the immediate also ignites resilience. Approach. When you believe that better days lie ahead, you endure today differently. Approach. You no longer see challenges as proof of failure, but as chapters in a longer narrative of perseverance. Every mountain climbed, every valley crossed becomes evidence that storms cannot erase purpose. This mindset transforms burdens into lessons, fear into faith, and uncertainty into opportunity. Approach. Ultimately, perspective allows hope to breathe where despair once reigned. It reminds you that the story is not finished, that there are still chapters unwritten. Approach. The current hardship is temporary, but the strength, wisdom, and clarity you gain can last a lifetime. By lifting your eyes above the present weight, you reclaim power. Approach. Anchor your soul and keep walking forward, one step at a time, toward brighter horizons. Approach. Strength deepens when you stop trying to carry the weight of life alone and allow yourself to be supported. Human nature often urges us to prove we can handle everything on our own, to keep a brave face. Approach. To convince the world, and sometimes even ourselves, that nothing shakes us. But real resilience grows when you recognize that needing help is not weakness. Approach. Just as a tree's roots intertwine with the soil and draw nourishment from hidden streams, your soul grows steadier when it reaches for strength outside of itself. Approach. Leaning on something greater than you quiets the voice of fear. It shifts your attention from everything you cannot control to the one who holds tomorrow. Approach. This shift is not a denial of reality. It is an embrace of a reality bigger than your circumstance. Life's storms will still rage. Approach. But your heart stops feeling as though it must hold up the entire sky. There is relief in realizing you are not expected to have every answer, solve every problem, approach, or predict every outcome. You are allowed to breathe, to release the illusion of complete control, approach, and to rest in the assurance that you are not abandoned in the struggle. Trust often begins as a whisper. In the middle of pain, you may not feel certainty. Approach. You may only have a faint sense that you are not alone. Even that tiny seed of trust, when nurtured, begins to grow roots. Approach. Every time you choose to believe there is purpose in the pain, every time you acknowledge that your strength alone is not enough, you create room for peace to seep in. Approach. Peace is not always the absence of trouble, but the calm that stands firm within it. This reliance also invites clarity. When your mind is overloaded, approach, trying to calculate every possible outcome, worry multiplies. But when you surrender what you cannot control, your thoughts begin to untangle. Perspective returns. Approach. You see more clearly what truly matters and where your energy is best spent. The storms may not end immediately, but you are no longer tossed about by every crashing wave. Instead, you stand anchored, confident that even if the journey is hard, you are being held steady. Approach. Leaning on a power beyond yourself reminds you that your value is not defined by performance or perfection. You are cherished even when life is messy. Approach. This truth softens the pressure to prove and perform. It makes room for grace, for rest, and for the patience needed to grow through seasons of difficulty. Approach. Your worth is not determined by how flawlessly you navigate adversity, but by the strength and faithfulness sustaining you through it. Approach. This dependence changes the way you face setbacks. Rather than seeing obstacles as signs of failure, you begin to view them as opportunities for growth. Approach. Lessons wrapped in hardship. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That single shift in perspective transforms discouragement into determination. You may still feel the weight, approach, but it no longer crushes you, it shapes you. Ultimately, allowing yourself to be carried releases the need to fight every battle alone. You learn to breathe deeply, approach, to trust that even unseen hands are guiding you toward peace, healing, and a future brighter than your current pain suggests. In that surrender, approach, your soul finds a steady rhythm of hope, and the heavy load you once thought impossible begins to feel lighter.